called Who is Mr. Global? And we went through every different hypotheses.
What do you mean? Can you define Mr. Global?
It's the committee that runs the world. So
Okay.
there's a committee at the top that makes all the big decisions. And my nickname for it is Mr. Global. So the question is, who is Mr. Global, and why is Mr. Global doing what he's doing? Because when I look at a situation, I like to put myself in somebody else's shoes. Like if I was Danny and I was doing this, what would it look like from my point of view? And so I want to put myself in Mr.
Yeah.
Why is Mr. Global doing this? What's Mr. Global's point of view? So anyway, Joseph and I went through and did Who is Mr. Global and why is he doing what he's doing? So we went through all the theories, but some of my favorite comments on the internet is they'll say, well, she worked at the White House and she knows, so she's not telling us. It's like, no, everybody at the White House is not sure.
Who's your best guess of who Mr. Global is?
I think you have intergenerational pools of capital, and right now they are over influenced by occult.
Occult.
Yes. So I think you have interdimensional intelligence, which is operating demonic intelligence.
Interdimensional demonic intelligence.
Yeah. Yep. So I think this thing about good and evil is real, and I can't find it anymore. I found it once. There were in the 1930s, a British physicist got up and said, we are being manipulated, but from other dimensions by intelligent beings from other dimensions. So I think if you study Christianity and you read the Bible, you're dealing with both divine intelligence and demonic intelligence. And I think too much of the leadership has gotten deeply involved in the occult and demonic kinds of intelligence.
Wow.
So I just read a book and I have no idea. So I've tried to find every theory to explain the paranormal stuff. So I'm not telling you this is true, but I just finished reading a book called Final Event by Nick Redfern. I don't know if you've ever read it. And he describes it's a exploration of a group of military intelligence in the United States called the Collins Elite.
Oh yeah, I've heard about the Collins Elite. Yeah.
And they came to believe that the ET phenomena was a demonic phenomena. It was not people from another planet. It was demonic intelligence.
It was biblical stuff.
Right. And one of the things he discovered was that, or the Collins Elite apparently discovered, is in many sort of ET abduction events, if you called on Jesus Christ, it would stop.
What?
Yeah. That's what he reported. And he strikes me, I don't know anything about him, but it struck me as someone who was trying to do a faithful job of simply reporting what they found.
There's a lot of folks in the intelligence community that publicly state how they believe that the whole UFO phenomena is like this biblical thing. How it's angels and demons, and these things can be angelic entities, and like literal, like ground, like legitimate people in the intelligence community, whether they're still active or retired or whatever, that have been on podcasts that state they believe this.
So I am sure that all of that stuff is happening. So I think we are dealing with demonic and angelic forces in our world, and that's interdimensional intelligence. So the Bible calls it, demons and angels. Other people call it fifth dimension or whatever, but I think we're absolutely, and I will tell you what I think is the most important thing to understand about the universe. So write this down. This is my favorite. My favorite new book is A New Science of Heaven by Robert Temple.
Oh, yeah.
99% of the material in the universe is plasma. Our universe is made up of plasma. And I used to hear that David Bohm said this, and other physicists as well, but Temple's really documented and nailed it. And I'm sure he's right. Plasma is alive and it's intelligent. And that means life is alive and intelligent.
Plasma or dark matter?
Plasma.
Plasma.
But, let me make it simple. The universe is alive and intelligent.
Sure.
and we share intelligence with all life. You know, so in the Lord of the Rings, when the trees show up to help, that's real.
Right.
So life is alive, and the notion that you can take digital technology and control it centrally, once you understand that, is so ridiculous. Only a demonic intelligence would come up with that plan.
Huh.
Right?
Have you noticed this recent phenomena of, and there's been articles written about it, of essentially a lot of big shots in Silicon Valley are mapping Christianity now onto everything that's going on in Silicon Valley. There's a new church in Silicon Valley that everyone's going to. Peter Thiel and the head of this company called Y Combinator are, Peter Thiel is a famous billionaire gay Christian, and the guy from Y Combinator is a big devout Christian, and they're holding these big conferences, and all these folks in Silicon Valley seem to be now converting to Christianity, going to church, and it's just really interesting to me, because Silicon Valley is historically known for being like anti-religion, right? Like it's not been a typical religious part of the world in history. These people are, a lot of people developing tech and developing, these social media platforms, transhumanism, and
I know nothing about it.
Yeah. There's been a lot of articles. There was an article in the New York Times that came out, I think the New Yorker. And it's really interesting to me that somebody like Peter Thiel would be somebody who's, very much tied up in the military industrial complex, the intelligence community.
I would say that there is a non-alignment between the teachings of Jesus Christ and what Peter Thiel and his companies are doing.
Yeah.
So,
but it makes me wonder though, why somebody like Peter Thiel would be so invested in promoting Christianity in Silicon Valley.
I don't know. I would need to understand a lot more.
I wonder if it has something to do with trying to bolster Christianity in the United States, or sort of revive Christianity in some sort of a national security aspect.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is that there has been so much financial fraud and corruption that you have a real breakdown in productivity in the general population. And so, there is a vested interest, if you don't want to depopulate everybody, in getting everybody to be productive. And they're not going to be productive unless they believe in morals and have morals. So, our problem, the reason the unipolar model failed, in my opinion, is we're not agreement capable. And the leadership is not agreement capable, but now the message is the population, you don't need to be agreement capable. Mm-hmm. And when a complex society depends on the rule of law, or at least the appearance of the rule of law, you take away the ability to be agreement capable, and the society fails. Mm.